When we think about a business or a company, what we're thinking about is a company that has capital or resources that is used to generate value. And we can look at this in terms of the revenue that is generated by the company, or money coming into a company, related to the costs that are incurred to create that value or money going out of the company. And a company is profitable simply if the money coming in is more than the money going out, or the revenue is more than the costs. So we can look at this in a chart form in what is called a cost volume profit analysis. So for our chart, we're going to want a vertical axis. On the vertical axis, we're going to measure costs, revenues, and profit, all in dollar amounts. On our horizontal axis, we're going to look at the volume or quantity of product or service by a given firm. So let's first start off with costs. Now, costs can be broken down into two parts. So we want total costs, or TC, is simply equal to the fixed costs, which are the costs that do not change with respect to the volume or quantity, plus variable costs, which are the costs that do change with respect to variable or quantity, or our decision variable that we're looking at. So total cost is simply fixed costs plus variable costs. So how does this fit on our chart? Fixed costs, remember, it doesn't change with respect to quantity, so even at a quantity of 0 or volume of 0, we do incur fixed costs. But this amount does not change. It is a straight, flat line across our chart. The other component of total cost is variable cost, which does change, so it's going to be an upward sloping line. So as each patient comes through our flu clinic, for example, we need to buy more medicine, buy more vaccines, so each of those patients incurs an additional cost. So it's going up, 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 and this gives us our total cost curve. Fixed costs plus variable costs. Now on the flip side, we have revenue. Revenue is dependent upon our volume completely. So it starts at 0 and also goes upwards. As more patients come through, as we produce more computers, we make more revenue. And we see this line going all the way up across our chart. What's important to note is these lines intersect. Where they intersect is what is called the break-even point. Now the break-even point is very important because it tells us where our total costs equals our total revenue. And that's the point where our business is, the amount of money coming in is equal to the amount of money going out. Now, everything that is to this side, in other words, where the total revenue is greater than total cost, we see this as a profit. On the other side, where total cost is greater than total revenue, now this is a loss. So by looking at these two simple positions on the graph, we can see where we want to be as a business, which is obviously profitable. So we can then helps us to decide how much of a quantity we need to produce in order to become a profitable business. And this leads to much more insights and much more strategy in how do we get to that quantity, and other constraints in terms of how can we change our costs, what can we do to make our business, or this gap, the distance between the total costs and the total revenue, how do we make that larger? How do we make the revenue higher or the costs lower? And we'll talk more about that in a later video.